their primary language is English. They might have been born here, or they might have maybe they just didn't learn it at home. And sometimes we will get a priest that will come to a church and serve at that church, and he will not speak English, and he will not pray in English or anything. And that might please the older generations who are used to Arabic, who understand it, who are fluent in it. But if we're talking about the future of our church and where we're going, it's up to us and up to our children to keep it alive. So I think that again, on the other topic, the priests, I think, also play a huge role in that, because if you think about it, we're all sitting down listening to this one person who is our religious leader. He is teaching us the lessons from the Bible and holding the sermons. He's leading the deacons on the altar. So when we come to church, we are sitting down, we are looking at that one person for understanding, for guidance. And if we cannot understand this person because he's not speaking in a language we understand, then they probably won't come to church. So I think that also it's not just us, it's that I think the priests have a huge role in determining the future of the church, simply from how they present the sermon, what languages they divide up in the preaching and the Holy Mass.
So to add on to that, looking 20 to 40 years ahead, in that case, then I think we would, especially in North America, we would want priests that have been raised, that were made in America, like you were saying. And in that case, I think only then are we going to truly be able to sustain the Syriac Orthodox Church in the United States, is when you have priests that understand the culture and speak English very well, because that's going to be the future.
Thank you. I think that you are a very, very good example for when we say a priest made in America, although I am not sure if that works well or not. But I want to ask you if you could tell us about yourself, about your experience, what made you think to become a priest, and you were born in this country. Thank you.
I'll certainly answer that question. I'm happy to, but if it's okay, I'd like to say something about the language issue first, which we were just talking about. So, obviously this is a very big issue in our church. And what we've heard there's no perfect solution. That's just the matter of fact. There's no perfect solution, and it's tough. There's a lot of opposing opinions. But the solutions that we've heard, I think, are very good from everybody. You have to some degree, you have to have a mix. You can't leave anybody out. And you have to speak the language that people understand. I'd just like to say something about what's underneath that and what informs why we would select the languages that we do. And I just wrote down real quickly 3 things. The first is that our divine liturgy itself is pedagogical. It teaches, actually. You can literally not know how to read or write. And if you come and you understand the liturgy, you can understand the apostolic faith. That's, in the ancient world, that's how people used to learn Christianity. And it still is like a treasure kept today in our liturgy. So it's of the utmost importance from a teaching perspective that people understand what we're saying when we pray. And I've had a lot of moments personally when I began to look at translations of Syriac, where a light bulb would go off and I'd say, I never knew that before. But look, here it is written by St. Ephraim. He's teaching me about Jesus Christ. So there's that teaching aspect first, which is, of course, relates to language. Second is, this is something that I think gets left out a lot in the Syriac church. The prophet Isaiah said that I give you as a light to the nations. He was speaking of Israel, but we know that he was speaking of the church as a remnant. So God has given us as a light to the nations, and that implies mission work. For us to properly serve that calling as a mission. If somebody comes into the church from the neighborhood, and we want them to hear the gospel and to be inspired and to begin the process of being saved, they have to understand what's going on. It's very simple. So the Divine Liturgy also has a role in mission work in our community, in our neighborhood. So that, of course, that highlights the importance of doing a good amount in English. I'll just say that for that purpose, for mission. And third is a big reason. There's many very good reasons that we come to church on Sundays. A very big one is that we all, whoever we are, however holy we think we are, we all need to remind ourselves again and again, every day, but especially on Sundays, because that's when we all come together, about the gospel, through prayer, about what God did for us, about what we're called to do as Christians, and that's what we remember when we come to church. So it's a spiritual nourishment in that sense. Constantly, because the world drags us, especially and I think we're going to get to this in another topic, but the secular world drags us out. It pulls us. The world is darkness, and the church is light. It wants us to forget everything that we have here and to become what has always been society, which is darkness. But here we have Jesus Christ, which is the light, and we're reminded every time we come. And so we have to hear that, and we have to understand it. Again, if it's Arabic, then some people have to hear Arabic to some degree. If it's English, it must be English. And then, I apologize, I'm taking a little while here.
It's okay, go ahead.
I want to say one thing in defense of the Syriac language. Growing up, I was convinced that, I'm ashamed to say, that the Syriac needed to diminish, and whatever language that we spoke in needed to increase. But I would just say that there's something in the Syriac language, and you'll see it when people pray, that is preserved over hundreds of years in poetry and music that you cannot duplicate in any other language. Not only meaning, because of course things are lost in translation, but in the art. And that's part of people's pious expression of their faith. And if you cut that out, then you have removed something very valuable. So I'll say that Syriac should most certainly remain also.
Thank you for your opinions, and I want to take a break. Dear viewers, thank you so much for viewing us, listening to this discussion. God bless you, and we are going to take a short break. We will come back. Shlomo Uhugo. Dear director, dear editor, Marta prepared tea or coffee for us, so we will take a break.
Hit the button.
Yes.